I've just taken a phone call from the product manager of Giant Bikes UK, and I would best describe that conversation as professional and very interesting. Now, he called me because of the video we made prior to this of calling out the Giant TCR on its value proposition, saying if you add up all the component parts and then look at the full value of the bike, it does not add up. Be a savvy buyer and be careful. That video was a general reflection on a real conversation, a genuine conversation I had with someone, and it was a bit rushed because it was like, let's just get this video out because it was a really interesting reflection and it was really, really good advice. Lots of you really, really appreciated it. A few of you called me out on the mistakes. This video is not going to be one of those retraction videos because the conversation with Giant was actually really cool. They said the overarching argument of the video was actually really sound. There's a couple of points that he was like, you could probably put that right. And I was like, well, does it actually affect things? No, but we are going to sort of go through that because the outcome of that conversation was that we all learned something. And so this video isn't not going to be one of those YouTube, I was right, you were right, bickering things, because there's something for us all to learn here, which is really cool. And I really applaud Giant for reaching out, one, watching the video in the first place, not getting massively upset about it, giving us a call, engaging in a conversation, because the ultimate winners in all of this are you guys who are now going to get even more knowledge based on this level of communication. So awesome. Compared to some of the other brands that we've taken exception to in the past, this is really cool and progressive. So let's dive in and have a little look at some of the stuff. So the big the big chat was, I called the Giant Advanced Disc, this one here, I said this was flexible frame and I would rather have an aluminium frame with a better set of wheels. And he said, actually, the frames are identical to the next level up. So this Power Core BB, this is the BB area, that is exactly the same. The only thing that is different is the overdrive system. So on the base level, it has a normal 1 1/8 steerer, and on the Pro level, that steerer is thicker and therefore stiffer. And I said, you know, in my experience, I've ridden all of these. We ride TCRs a lot, by the way. It's the best-selling bike in the world, must be. And I know that I can make that Advanced Mod Flex. And he agreed. They said, if you're a bigger rider, a more powerful rider, you would be able to make the Advanced one Flex. And I said, well, the conversation I was having was with an 18-year-old who's taller than I am, FTP 300 and something watts, so he would definitely be able to make it flex if I can. And remember, this is their race bike. It is not billed as a sporty bike or a general fitness bike. This is their entry-level race bike. And I don't know how many sort of 16 to 18-year-olds you know going through puberty, but they're big and powerful young riders out there right now, and they would be able to make that flex. So I still think that in that situation, a CAD 13 with a super stiff set of wheels, a reasonable cost, even bloody Windspace Hypers would do, because you're going to clash wheels. You're Cat 3, 4, possibly 2 racer, and it's going to be tight, you know, local circuit racing, the occasional crit race. You're going to bash wheels, you're going to break things. So, you know, rotational weight is always better saved than, you know, real weight. So the aluminium frame is going to be stiff, it's going to be marginally heavier. Put your money into your wheels, save rotational weight. You've got a much better bike, and if you bash your wheels, you can replace them. Brilliant. We kind of agreed on that for that situation. So I asked him why, because the next thing is to why, if it's only, you know, the diameter of a steerer tube and a couple of bearings, why do it at all? Well, the answer to that was product differentiation. Now, I flick back into this very, very quickly because it is not just Giant Bikes that does this. Every single company in the world, bikes, cars, shampoo, ketchup, will have a good, better, best product offering. It is just a sales a sales tactic that is just stuck in the, like, it's just the thing that is done. So I once used the analogy of a set of ketchup, and I said Heinz ketchup. That is the one that everyone wants to buy. You want the Heinz ketchup, and you might have Tesco's own brand ketchup, and you might have premium ketchup. You might need the own brand ketchup on occasion because, you know, times are hard or whatever, and you might occasionally treat yourself to the premium ketchup. But generally speaking, we want the best seller. Now, imagine that if you removed Heinz ketchup from the shelves and you only had bottom of the range, bland labelled ketchup from Tesco's or whatever, and you had premium ketchup, which one would you buy then? I think most of you would probably go for the Tesco's because the premium one's like a bit of an indulgence, right? Exactly the same theory with all this. You need a good, better, best. You need something for people to go, actually, I don't want the bottom of the range, I want the next one up. So there needs to be a differentiator. So that steerer tube exists purely for that reason, because the best-selling bike in their range, and I completely concur, is this one, which is the Advanced Pro 2 disc with a 105 mechanical group set, a set of fairly entry-level wheels, brilliant, 3,299 quid. And I said in the video, this is the best value in the entire range. Now, and we agreed, that's the best one. It's stiff, you've got an entry-level set of carbon wheels, which you can repair fairly easily, and you've got a 105 group set. If you smash this mech up, it's fairly easy to replace. Nothing on there is going to slow you down particularly. When I said the next one up, where's the value? I didn't miss here that this one has a power meter. I was like, okay, fair enough, it has a Giant power meter on it. So it's a Giant's own brand power meter, which is this one here. They're saying £799. Just Google power meters. It's on the high side of a power meter price. It's only plus or minus 2% accuracy, which is way beyond industry standard. It's also a rechargeable battery rather than one of those CR2032 batteries. So it's probably not the power meter you would choose, and it's definitely not the power meter you would choose at that price. But add up all the parts of this, and I'm still missing about 500 quid worth of value in that bike. So again, do your own sort of sums. It's still not adding up for me. We talked about these three up here briefly, and these three are really suffering from massive discounting. The SRAM Force group set has now been updated, so the old one is on sale. The Ultegra one is obviously also being massively discounted. And this SRAM Rival one is also being massively discounted as well. So these three just, if you add them up, suffer a little bit the same, but nowhere near, because there is so much discounting going on there. Come on to that in a second. So the next thing we talked about was the absolute top of the range SL frame. And I think we both agreed that that is a brilliant frame for the money. 2,000 or just under £3,000, say. Fantastic. I think Peak Torque rides one, because it is one of those bikes that if you think with your head and you balance all the things, you're probably going to come down to that sort of argument that the TCR SL is really good value for money. Now, you might say, I want something stiffer, in which case you go somewhere else. You might say, I want something lighter, you go somewhere else. But if you're trying to find, a balance between all those little things and price, then you'd probably end up at a Giant TCR Advanced SL for that money, which Peak Torque did. So there we go. And then no one was debating that. The debate was, why can't you access that? Because one, they don't have any frames. The answer to that was that their dealers just didn't order them. They just didn't see the demand for frames, so they just didn't make them. I'm like, really? Okay. And also this £11,000. I know this isn't really relevant to many people, but this one, and a few of you called me out because I put on my video, sorry, here we go. I put on my video that the Cadex wheels were £1,000. They weren't. It's actually a £2,500 wheel set. So it does affect the argument a little bit, but there's still a big chunk of missing money. So the point is, this Cadex rear wheel is £1,500. So that is 500 quid for a free hub body. You could buy a Chris King hub for that much money, not just the change from a front hub to a rear hub. That's a big price jump. Anyway, my major thing with the Cadex wheels was that they don't give you an awful lot of information. So they use carbon spokes, and you can only buy replacements from a Cadex dealer. So not all Giant shops are Cadex shops. Only a few select Giant dealers are also a Cadex dealer. So if you break a spoke, you are going to have to go to a Cadex dealer. You're going to have to find one and take it to them to be repaired. I'm I'm okay with this if they make it really, really clear to you that that is a thing, because I think that if you're at this level, then you are very, very serious about your sport, and you're probably flying away and doing triathlons and road races and all sorts of things. And most of the time we see these things get damaged is normally in transit. You'll get a broken spoke, or there'll be, qualifying on day one, and there'll be a race on day two, and you've broken a spoke in qualifying. It's that sort of situation that we find those sort of people in. And if you buy something like a Cadex wheel, you are going to be really, really stuck, because you're going to have to rely on the fact there being a Cadex dealer in town that can fix it. And they said those spoke tensions have got to be exact. You have to use not just a Park TM12 tool, you've got to use a proper spoke tensionometer to get that exactly dialed in. And you've got to use exactly the right spoke. I'm like, okay, that's fine, great technology, push it on, but you have to let someone know that that is the situation they're getting themselves into. The same thing goes with WindSpace. If people often ask me, what do I think about WindSpace wheels? They're great reviews. I'm like, great. If you walked into any bike shop, you would not get very far. You can't buy a spoke from WindSpace. You can't really buy much from them. I know that they sometimes supply them with the wheels. So if you walked into us with a set of WindSpace wheels and the spoke, then we would be able to reach out to them and say, hey, tell me what the spoke tension is, let me rebuild it, and you would get somewhere. You don't get that with Cadex. You would just be told, I can't do anything, you'd have to take it to a Cadex dealer. So there we go, there's a little bit of consumer advice. You do with that what you want. Then a little bit of context about custom building at the moment, because there is so much discounting. Remember at the start of the year, we talked about oh my God, there's so much stock being held everywhere, everything's going to be on discount, and it kind of is, but weirdly not in bikes. So this is, we've just been putting a custom build together for someone at the moment. And look at this, this is a SRAM rival lever. This comes with the brake and everything. This isn't even the right RRP, because they put the RRPs up to 280 quid. This is cheaper than my trade price, and this includes the VAT. So if I took the VAT off that and claimed it back, that's even cheaper. That is where the industry is right now, so that I can pick up a SRAM rival ETAP group set for 600 quid now. And that's great. If you come to me with a frame, we will shop around, we'll build all that together. The profit that we make is in our labour, not necessarily in parts at all, especially when they are like that. So hopefully this video has been, be a savvy buyer. Go through the product spec with a fine tooth comb, a finer tooth comb than I did potentially, and really get a good feel for the value, and go to your bike shop and say, I've worked it all out. This is this much, this much, this much, this much, this much. Where's the missing money? And ask them, and what can you do? Because, yeah, it doesn't stack up. I'm astounded. The more I've looked into this, the more I've uncovered. I'm looking forward to what you guys say in the comments. And like I say, not just Giant, but well done, Giant, for getting on the phone and entering into discussion. That I can definitely applaud. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy.